Welcome to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. While many aspects of buying a home in Mexico look and feel the same as the United States and Canada, you should remember that you are purchasing property in a foreign country. The manner in which you will purchase is probably different from what you are accustomed to. It is not better or worse, it's just a little bit different. A public notary is the highest designation within the Mexico legal system. In the case of real estate, they act as real estate lawyers, and every transaction has to go through them for the review, preparation, and certification of all real estate closing documents, ensuring proper and clear transfer of title.
It's safe if they have good legal advice.
The notary in Mexico is a very specialty activity. It's only for lawyers. It's totally different in other systems. For example, the system in the States, it's a common law. In our system in Mexico, it's either Latin law. It's better or not. It's totally different. In Mexico, it's very simple because the notary is responsible for all the closing, including the
whole enchilada.
Exactly. All the responsibility is inside to the notary. Yes, the notary. If the notary is responsible to review all the documents, certificate of no links, read a contract. Convoke the part, retain the taxes, and emit an official document for the new buyer.
There is no doubt that you have heard and been confused by the Mexican bank trust system or the Mexican fideicomiso and the restricted zone. The fideicomiso is a bank trust agreement, and the restricted zone is the area of land 62 miles from the border and 31 miles along Mexico's coastline. Usage of a Mexican bank trust, a fideicomiso, allows non-Mexican nationals to acquire property in the restricted zone by placing the real estate property into a bank trust recorded in a Mexican trustee's name. The Mexican trustee is the Mexican Bank Trust Department. David, can we come in?
Please come in.
Hola, Betty. We're going to meet David Connell of Connell and Associados.
I'm not used to having to put the property in trust. I turn around and say, how do you hold all of your assets in the United States? And they say, well, in a trust. So they're familiar with the trust. They understand it. The title situations, most title situations are, if they're done correctly, there aren't any problems. I would say there's probably 1-2% of the transactions we see have problems, and those were problems that should have been caught when the transaction was going on. We have the really nasty cases, for example, of Ensenada. Our firm worked on that case.
The Punta Banda story?
The Punta Banda story. It's right there on the wall. It was right there on the wall, as a matter of fact. But anyway, the Punta Banda case was one of the cases where if we represented 72 of the foreigners that were expropriated, and one of the problems there was that they were aware of the fact that there was no title on the property, and they were aware of the fact that there was a legal battle going on, and they still signed agreements that were not deeds, they were just agreements, and they built homes. It is an unfortunate situation, but at the end of the day, if somebody would have said, and a lot of people did say, hey, there's no deed on here, I'm not going to invest on it.
But they were excited, it was cheap, it was affordable, beachfront, build a dream home, and surprise, they forgot to actually close on the property and get a title. The Mexican Bank Trust Department is designated as the owner of record so that there is harmony with the constitutional provisions of ownership by foreigners. The manner in which your property is managed stipulates that while the owner of record is the Mexican trust, the ownership rights of the property belong to the trust beneficiary. In that case, this is you. The beneficiary of the trust is the purchaser of the property. You are the beneficiary. trustees are paid an initial fee for recording the property in their name and are subsequently paid an annual trust maintenance fee, the bank trust payment. The buyer pays the real estate transfer acquisition tax and all other closing costs. This includes the creation and preparation of the fideicomiso contract, bank trust, the foreign ministry permit, foreign investment registry, public property registry, bank trust acceptance, the first fees of the bank trust, and there are a few other miscellaneous expenses. When you start the property search, your real estate agent can get you a quote from a notary on what you're going to be up against when it comes to the closing costs. The notary will give you a breakdown of what your costs can be. This is an approximate, of course, but it'll give you an idea as to what you're up against when you're buying your first home in Puerto Vallarta. The seller pays the capital gains tax, and this is determined by the notary. The notary determines the seller's tax status and collects the appropriate amount if applicable.
The notario has under his obligation or her obligation to do the calculation, liquidation of the tax retained from the taxpayer and enter that money at the federal government cashier.
The bank trust is valid for a period of 50 years, at which time it can be renewed for an additional 50 years. The bank trust is transferable and can be assumed by the new owner for whatever number of years is left on the existing trust. How long do you plan on living? This is probably a little bit different to what you're accustomed to. It is not better or worse, it's just different. The bank charges the buyer an initial fee of approximately $500 for drawing up the agreement and establishing the trust. There is also a one-time charge for permit issued by the Secretary of Foreign Affairs. What is the most important thing for a foreigner to know when purchasing property in Mexico? Trick question.
Yeah, exactly. Stay away from the margarita mentality.
Okay.
My ex-partner said, don't leave your brain at the border. You don't always need an attorney. There's a lot of good real estate agents and notaries that can help you through the process of purchasing property.
Can you please repeat that? What has been the biggest nightmare transaction you have had to deal with in your law history?
There's a whole list of them, actually. I occasionally write them down, and later we'll publish them.
Are you going to write a book?
Sometime in the future we'll talk about them. Most have to do, I have in our other office a napkin from the Todos Santos area. It's a contract to buy real estate on a napkin, $150,000 given in cash.
So they wrote the transaction on a paper towel?
$150,000 on a napkin, and the guy's name who sold the property was Ricardo, and I was asked to find Ricardo and file a lawsuit against him to get the $150,000 back. Ricardo's last name, his address, where he was, the people had just met him. He sold them their lot on the beach that didn't have a fence on it, and Ricardo didn't live in the town for more than 2 months before the original contract was signed and never was seen again. There's been a few of those, but that's one of the worst.
So we've learned that when a real estate agent, a lawyer, a notary says no hay problema, ask that question again, right?
We try to stay away from saying that.
No hay problema, those are words of the day.
You want to make sure that no hay problema is not only said, but also the documents.
And how much do you charge? I love this question
This is a great question for attorneys. We principally charge on an hourly basis. That's what we've principally done. Our fees go anywhere from $250 an hour down to $80 an hour, depending on the attorney or clerk that's working on the case. But we do work in the same fashion that Mexican firms work mostly, which is a flat fee basis. So a lot of our clients come in and say, Dave, I understand your hourly rate. Mm-hmm. Would you be willing to do this on a flat fee basis? Or we offer the flat fee basis to say, this job will require these steps and we'll charge you this amount for that project.
How do you manage stress with your law career?
Fishing or surfing. No, actually, the business is nice. It's a day-to-day job. It's something you have to be sitting in the office from 8 in the morning till 8 at night. You need to be answering the phone. You need to be attending to your clients. Email's a great thing. We'll be able out of the office and we can still answer our email, or cell phones we can answer our phone. Dealing with the stress is making sure you leave the office and leave the job. It stays at the office, not at home.
Okay. So, David, when are you going to retire?
Never.
Never?
Never. As an attorney, there's good days, there's bad days. I think I'll slow down and I'll do different things that I want to do, but I don't think I can turn the switch off completely. I'll fish more, I'll surf more, I'll probably dive more, but retiring completely?
No. Well, I want you to show me the old deeds you have in your closing room. This is my favorite part of coming to Herman's office, when I get to look at the old deeds.
Well, 1798. 1798 year.
This is the whole full deed right here.
Yes.
And I see others.
And you see, they used to put the seal here. And the seal belongs to the...
So what are these? What are all these shelves and what are all these books?
Here is what do we call it, the appendix, which is something that you take at the same time that whenever you are doing the deed.
So this is one deed?
Yes.
One particular deed?
Less than that.
Thank you, Herman. I will let you go for lunch.
Okay.
We need to fill that stomach. There's a closing happening in Herman's office, but we're going to interrupt because they sound like they're having too much fun. We have Samuel, Cointa, Johnny, Chantel, Amparo, and this is Georgina. So we're in the middle of a transaction. What are you selling? Chantel, from Realty Executives, what are you selling today?
Actually, with Nicole, Johnny and I have sold a one-bedroom condo, beachfront at Playa del Sol Grande in Puerto Vallarta.
And in this particular case, nor the buyers or the sellers are present. We have a power of attorney here that's signing for the buyers. Chantel and Johnny are signing. Actually, you're for the seller, and you guys are signing for the buyer.
Absolutely.
And they can't be present. They won't be here till Thanksgiving when they'll have their housewarming party. We have an intermediary lawyer, Cointa, from your name of your company? AI Asesoría Inmobiliaria. And we have Samuel Ruiz from Bancomer Compass Bank. And the buyers received a loan from Compass Bank, and you are here representing the bank.
Yes.
Samuel, who is receiving loans today?
Today.
John, you're having too much fun. The condo's not yours.
So I'm getting carried away here.
American and Canadians, actually, if some person has double citizen, Mexican Americans or Mexican Canadians, they can get a loan with Compass Bank with good rates.
What are the requirements for one to become?
5 items. You have to have your passport, driver's license, 2 months bank statements, the application, of course, and the taxes for 2 years.
The tax. Okay.
Tax
declaration in the United States or Canada.
Yes, in the United States or Canada, if the income in Mexico, we cannot take that. Just income show in the United States or Canada.
Okay. So the paperwork you're signing here, Johnny, what is this?
I've got no idea, actually. I'm just signing away, actually.
This is part of the...
Don't say that.
No, it's...
So Johnny, let's repeat that. Johnny, what are you signing here?
It's actually, I'm signing for the buyers for their new condominium at Playa del Sol, number 7603.
And how many properties did you show them before they chose Playa del Sol?
I think we were at least about 7 or 8.
7 or 8
yes,
properties.
Yes.
And these buyers, where are they from?
They're from Minnesota.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where are you from?
I'm originally from London, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, so, yes, but been here for a few years and lived in the States for a few years. I think I've got my last signature here and it's theirs, I think.
Yeah, concentrate because you don't want to sign in the wrong spot. Well, thank you guys. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you so much.
This is a typical closing. So I ran into Chantel Mann from Realty Executives. Chantel, so what brought you to Vallarta? Where are you from?
I grew up in the state of Washington, and I moved here 8 years ago. I came here 11 years ago with my family and fell in love with it. And I was able to study in Guadalajara in the meantime and fell in love with Mexico.
And you learned Spanish?
Yes, hablo español.
Muy bien. And real estate, what brought you to a real estate career?
I worked for the hotels for a while here in Vallarta, and I just kind of watched the market and it looked very interesting. I love to work with people and I love to see people's dreams come true of owning property here because I love Puerto Vallarta and I love to see other people that love it here as well.
And who are your buyers?
Right now, Canadians, a few Americans, and we also have a lot of Mexican buyers right now. I'm hoping it's a good season. I think it's going to be a good season. I have a lot of returning clients. The closing that we just had were returning clients, so that's good. And we're hoping that it's a really good season. I'm really optimistic that things are going to go well this winter.
And if you have friends in the United States or Canada, if you know anyone wanting to move to Mexico and practice real estate, what sort of advice do you have for them? How can one practice here?
The best way probably would be able to find a place, if it's not Vallarta, find a place that you really love. When you have passion for what you're doing and where you're living, it makes something like real estate a lot easier. And get a really good knowledge of the area, because you're really helping someone know an area. So it's really important that you have that knowledge.
We're going to go in and meet David Connell of Connell and Asociados. Connell, sorry. Germán, gusto conocerte. Yo te conozco por muchos años. Buyer pays the real estate. Don't laugh at me. That's really mean. Can you please repeat that? Buyer pays the real estate. It's not fun.
Mostly they go with the broker. But most of the brokers, they are not qualified to give.
Yes, we are. Here we are in Marina Vallarta. I am Nicole, Realtor 365.